to Pre-Calc in Pajamas. Hi, everyone. So I know that a lot of updates have been coming your way. The most important thing that I just wanted to bring up to you is that now, rather than being a completion grade, you will receive an 85% just for completing all of it. So if you do, like every single problem I submit to you, you get an 85%. If you do it perfectly, you get 100. And if you don't do it perfectly, I'm going to give you feedback. And if you resubmit it, you can get a 90 for like meh. And you can get a 100 if, it's exceptional work. So that's just something I wanted to spit at you so you know what was going on. I have just a few questions I want to go over today, because I think that a lot of you remember doing this in geometry. So yeah, it's only 3 questions that I made. I made these up. I didn't find them online. So yeah, cool. Great. So we use trig with non-right triangles. Last week we used law of sines and we used law of cosines. I know that most of you did not like law of cosines, and don't worry, I didn't ask you to do any of that this week. I am going to have you do law of sines, but we're going to get to that, so let's do some baby steps. So the thing that I really want to focus on this week is just area of non-right triangles without me saying, oh, here's the height. Now it's up to you to find that. So the first triangle that I made is, we're going to say that's 10, we're going to say that's 7. Who cares what the other side length is? We're going to say that's 42 degrees. This sounds fine, your friend. So this is my first triangle. So the area of a triangle is 1/2 the base times height. And I'm going to keep that up in the corner just so that we don't forget. But we don't know what the height is. We know the base is 10. And if you really wanted to be super tricky, you could draw a 90-degree angle from here to here and use 7 and use that as the... No. If it's flat here, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go doot, 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 doot. And we're going to make a 90-degree right here. So now we have a right triangle that we can mess with. And what we need to find is that height here. So this is theta. So because this is theta, this is my opposite side. And this, the only side length we can use, we can't use 10 for this triangle because from here to here is 10. So this length from my little 90-degree mark out, I don't know what that length is. So the only length that I'm sure of is this 7 here. And he is my hypotenuse. So if I have opposite, I have hypotenuse. The way that I'm going to find it is by using sine. So sine of 42 equals opposite over hypotenuse. Ding, ding, ding. And then to solve for x, multiply by 7. And we're going to get x equals, and I'm going to put this in my mouth, because I'm at home and I can do what I want. 7 sine 42. 4.68. And remember, I don't care how you round. Just don't call this 5. Okay, great. So that is my height. So my height is 4.68. I know the difference between B and D. And my base is going to be this 10. That's when 10 actually matters. My height's 4.68. My base is 10. And I'm going to use this formula here to find the area. So the first assignment is just finding the height. So if you got here, you'd be done. But the second assignment, I did kick it up a notch. And I'm making you find the height and also the area. So the area would be 1/2 4.68, 10. 1/2 4.68 times 10. And if you tell me you don't know how to put in a fraction, I'm going to give you a scale because 1/2 is just 0.5. So we're going to do 0.5 times 4.68 times 10. And 23.4 is going to be our answer. And it's just that simple. This is a bit of an easier example. I'm sorry, units squared. Units are important. Ta-da! Because it's area. This is like the easiest example we have. I'm going to kick it up a notch, and I'm going to show you an example of when you have to use law of sines. I ask you to do this 2 or 3 times in your second assignment. So let's look at an example of when you would have to do that. All right, so using law of sines. So I'm just going to kind of use the same shape, except for the third one. Let's say this is 110 degrees. Let's say this is 15. I know that this is 32 degrees. But I have no idea what x is. So I could just give you the triangle and say find the height, and that's acceptable. But the issue is that we need to find one of these side lengths so that we have a hypotenuse to work with. So if that's 110 and that's 32, we can find the third angle. So that's exactly, I'm going to do 180 minus 110 minus 32, and that means that my remaining angle here is 38. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can find this length using this in the law of sines, or you can find this length using this angle on the law of sines. It doesn't matter what one you do because it's still going to give you the same height. But I have an x here on my chart, on my little paper thing, so that's what we're going to do. So we're going to solve this one. And I promise that finding this will be helpful. Just give me some credit, okay? So 110, 32, 38 degrees. I need to find a side length, so I'm going to use law of sines. Remember, law of sines says sine of 110, over 15 equals sine of 32 over x. Cool. We're going to cross multiply. That's going to give me x sine of 110 equals 15 sine of 32. And in order to isolate x, we have to divide by sine of 110 on both sides. So I'm going to use my handy dandy calculator. That cancels out. And I'm going to solve for x. So x equals, we said 15 sine of 32 divided by sine of 110. And I got 8.46 when I round. So right here, I'm going to say 8.46. You can't even see it because it's out of frame. So that's my work so far. I solved for a side length, and now I have this side length. So now that I did all that work, now I can make my height, and I can find my height by making that 90-degree angle. So now, to avoid confusion, I'm going to get rid of that x, and now I'm going to solve for him. I think it would be easier if I named it like h. No, I'm going to name it O, and this is why. So I'm going to name this O, and some of you are going to be really upset that I'm using the letter O, but if I used x again, then the x is here. If you quick looked up and down, you'd be like, what? That looks like a 0. Give me a letter. Q. We're going to use Q. Great. So now it's Q. I was going for O for opposite, but you get what you get. You don't get upset. So this is a Q. So I have 38 here, which means this is my opposite side. And this is my hypotenuse, because if that's 90 degree here, that's also 90 degree here. So he is my hypotenuse. He is my opposite side. And now we're going to solve for Q. So I'm going to cut this up a little bit. Sine of 38 equals opposite, which we said was Q, over hypotenuse. I now realize that looks like an 8. Oh, good Lord. There we go, better Q. So in order to isolate the Q by itself, we're going to multiply both sides by 8.46. Sine of 38 equals Q. Type that in. And we're going to get that Q, or our height, should have just named it H, equals 5.21 when we round. So now I have my height, I have my base, and I'm going to do 1/2 my height times my base and I get that the area is 39.08 units squared. All for this answer down here. So that's how you would use law of sines. I do require you to do this on a couple. Not all of them, but on a couple. I'm sorry about the usage of my variables. All right, last question, and it's a lot shorter this week, so I hope that it makes it better. Again, if you ever had any questions, you can set up a Google Meet. I finally had a Google Meet with one of you, and it made my whole week. It was very exciting. So I've been using the same shape of triangle where you can just make a 90-degree angle inside and be like, oh, yay, like, I know what this is. I'm just going to show you, and then I'll explain how to do it, and you're not going to like it, like, even a little bit. Even a little bit, you're not going to like it. We're going to figure it out. I got you. There's a bunch of different ways to do this. Okay, so find the area of this annoying thing. So if I made a 90-degree angle, if I went from the top of my triangle down, my 90-degree angle, I'm sure you can see, is not even in it. It's not even inside the triangle, which makes your lives so much more miserable than they need to be. But the issue here is that now this angle I need to find. It's actually not that hard, because if this is a straight line, then that means this angle, oh, that's why we can't do it. That's why we can't do it, because we don't have this length, and we don't have that length. All right. I'm going to explain to you what happened in my head. So this is 30 degrees, right? Because the whole thing together has to be 180. But I don't know this length, I don't know this length, and I also don't know this length. So there's a couple different ways that we can do this. We can use law of cosines to find this length, or law of sines to find that length, I believe. It would take a lot of work. Or we can use this outer triangle all the way here, boom, boom, boom. We can use that, and I kind of over-outlined it, to find the height. And that's what I would recommend doing. I think it's the least amount of work. So we're going to use the entire outside to create that triangle. But since we're using that, I'm going to need to find this angle to solve for that height. And the only way we can solve for that angle is by using law of sines in the little triangle, the one that's inside. So I'm going to redraw the little triangle so that we can work with that and then substitute and do what we need to do. So again, the little triangle. Yeah, we got 150, we got 4, we got 10, definitely not to scale. And we need to find this angle here. Well, the issue here is that, 150 and 10 are across from each other, so sine of 150 over 10. But the angle across from 4, can we do this? We can do this. I'm positive that we can do this. Yeah. The angle across from 4 is the one that we'd be solving for. And we have to do that, so that way we can subtract and get this. So, I don't know. Let's call it sine of b over 4. So I need to find this angle here in order to find this angle here. This is why I saved it for last, because it's a multi-step problem. So sine of b, so let's just cross multiply here. So I have 10 sine of b equals 4 sine of 150. From here, in order to isolate sine of b, we're going to divide both sides by 10. See my work? And then we're going to get a value. So we're going to do, turn it on, 4 sine of 150 divided by 10, and we get sine of b equals 0.4. In order to solve for that angle, we're going to take the inverse sine. And we get that the angle B is 11.5 degrees when we round. So this is definitely not to scale. So keep in mind, this is the angle that we just solved for. Not this guy, this one, because he was across from 4. So, we know all triangles' interior angles add up to 180. So if that's 150, that's 11.5. That means that the remaining angle has to be, and I'm sorry I'm not the best at doing mental math in my head, 18.5 degrees. So this angle here, which is this angle here, remember they're the same, 18.5 degrees. And now we can finally use our trig skills to find the height, times it by the base, and get our answer. So, I'm going to erase the work I've done. So before I erase it, here you go. So you can pause it if you need to. But I need room. Okay. So we finally found the angle we care about. We have a side length we care about that we can use. And now we can finally get our side length. So this is opposite. This is hypotenuse. So I'm going to do sine of 18.5 equals opposite over hypotenuse. You can see, times it by 10. And I get x equals 3.17 when we round. So my height is 3.17. My base is 4, because we no longer care about this whole triangle anymore. This is our base. And we just do 1/2 times 3.17 times 4. We get 6.34 units squared. Ooh-wee. That one was a doozy. I hope that helped. I hope that I didn't overwhelm you too much with that last problem, but I'm gonna stop there. I believe next week we start vectors. Let me double check on that. Yep, we're starting vectors next week, which is the last chapter of our course. I'm very excited about it. But that's for next week. This is this week. Again, if something is troubling you and you're like, I don't know where to start, please let me know. I would love to set up a time to meet with you guys. Yeah, sounds great. So thank you for tuning in. Hopefully I'll have this up pretty soon. Sometimes things just don't upload, but I hope it helped. Thanks, guys. Bye.